So just come out of the fourth day of class here, and yeah, again, great big days. I think that there've been kind of two things that have been huge today. One, kind of around my own values and beliefs, um, and that's really been around my understanding of inclusion and equity. And when I've thought about inclusion, I've held really tightly to this idea that that inclusion is about providing a student whatever they need in the setting that works for them. And tied with that has been this thing around parent choice. And in my head, that's worked itself out as being, you know, if a parent wants to send their child to a special school or in a class, with a special class with a school or in the regular classroom, then all good. And I've defended that actually really hard, really vigorously. But it's been really, I've been really challenged here around looking at the data that sits around student achievement around segregation. And here in Massachusetts, they've just done. They're in the middle of it, but the data that's come out so far is that students, when they are in students that have with special education needs in general education classes are achieving so much more highly than those either fully segregated or in partially segregated settings. And so the concept here of special schools is that's not the way to go, which is really interesting when you think about parent choice. But if maybe that idea of parent choice also in that dialogue was around where students are most successful, maybe that's an interesting thing to bring to the table. And in reference to universal design for learning, this idea of a way of working that within your setting, if you've got students with special education needs in your class, which everybody has, that you collectively as a school team or within a teacher team problem solve around the student with the most significant needs first, and then your problem solving around that student will benefit the whole of the class, and because of what you put in place, and that's where you begin. And so the UDL really is about the learning environment, but that you begin your planning from those students with the most significant needs. And then the other player in that mix is the need to really understand for the kids in your class and in your school where they come from, their backgrounds and culture, and that then you act on that in the way that you organise your environment. You'll have specific goals, but just your teaching methods, your instructional methods, your resources, and your assessments. Yeah, so that's been really huge today. Obviously much more in depth, but not so appropriate to chat about here. And the other big thing today has been making international connections. And so talking with educators from Chile and Guatemala, from Spain, also connections in Europe, and this beginning of an international network for work around universal design for learning. On Monday, back here in Boston, up at CAST, which is the Centre of Assistive Technology. Here there's the first international round table for universal design for learning at CAST, where the conversation is about how can we work together, strategically work together, to look at the work that's been going on here in the States, because you can't just transfer what's happening here to other countries, but how can we learn from each other in the way that we move across cultures, especially both in language but also in context. So, huge. We're back together tomorrow morning, a big kind of shareatorium, and yeah, that will be it.